The cargo hauler drifted through the outer rim, and the proximity alarm shrieked. Marcus Webb glanced at the scanner display and cursed under his breath. A Valthine warship had just dropped out of hyperspace directly in their path. "This is Captain Lissa of the Valthine Imperial Fleet," a voice crackled through the com system. "Power down your engines and prepare for boarding. Resistance will result in immediate destruction." Marcus had heard the stories. The Valthine Empire had been expanding aggressively for decades, absorbing colony after colony. Their military was ruthless and efficient. Most species surrendered without a fight. He powered down the engines. The boarding party arrived within minutes. 6 armored soldiers stomped through the airlock, weapons raised. Behind them came their captain, and Marcus felt his breath catch. She was tall, easily 7 feet, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the ship's lights. Her armor was ornate, decorated with symbols he didn't recognize. But what struck him most were her eyes, large and amber-colored, with vertical pupils that contracted as they focused on him. "You are the only crew member?" she asked, her voice carrying a musical quality despite the translator's mechanical overlay. "Just me," Marcus said, raising his hands. "Hauling medical supplies to the frontier stations. Nothing valuable to the Empire, I promise." Captain Lissa stepped closer, studying him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. The Valthine were known for their cold efficiency, their complete lack of mercy toward inferior species. He'd seen footage of their conquests. Worlds burning. Populations enslaved or eliminated. "You will come with us," she said. "Your vessel will be impounded." Marcus swallowed hard. "Look, I'm just a freight runner. I don't know anything about military operations or colony defenses. I'm worthless as a prisoner." She tilted her head, and for a moment, something flickered across her face. Curiosity, perhaps. "You misunderstand. All humans in this sector are to be detained for processing. Imperial decree." The soldiers moved forward, but Marcus found himself speaking before he could stop himself. "Can I just say, before you haul me off to whatever prison you've got planned, that you have the most remarkable eyes I've ever seen?" The entire room went silent. Captain Lissa froze mid-step. Her amber eyes widened. Then, to Marcus's absolute shock, a deep purple flush spread across her cheeks and down her neck. Her soldiers exchanged glances, clearly as surprised as he was. What did you say?" she stammered, her voice losing its commanding edge. Marcus blinked. Had he just made an alien war captain blush? "I said you have remarkable eyes. I mean, the color is incredible, and the way they catch the light is just—" "Sorry, is that inappropriate?" "I didn't mean to offend you. It's just that humans tend to comment on things we find beautiful, and The purple flush deepened. Lissa turned sharply to her soldiers. "Leave us. Wait in the corridor. Captain?" One soldier asked, confusion evident even through his helmet. "Now." They filed out quickly. The airlock hissed shut behind them. Lissa turned back to Marcus, and he suddenly felt very aware of how alone they were. Her hand rested on the plasma pistol at her hip, but she didn't draw it. Instead, she stepped closer, studying him with those incredible eyes. "Do you understand what you have done, human?" Marcus shook his head slowly. "Committed some kind of cultural offense. Look, I really am sorry if—" "In Valthine culture," she interrupted, her voice soft now, almost vulnerable. "To compliment another's eyes is to acknowledge seeing into their spirit. It is the highest form of intimacy. It is what one says when—" She paused, the purple flush still vivid across her skin. "When one wishes to court another." Marcus felt his own face heating up. Oh no. I didn't know. I was just being honest. Humans compliment each other all the time without meaning anything romantic. It's just polite. Lissa stared at him for a long moment. Then, to his surprise, she laughed. It was a sound like chimes, completely at odds with her military bearing. You complimented a Valfine warship captain during a capture operation without knowing you were making a courtship declaration? Apparently, yes, Marcus admitted. This is probably the worst first contact situation in human history, isn't it? She shook her head, and something in her expression softened. No, it is the most interesting thing that has happened to me in 3 cycles of military service. She circled him slowly, and he forced himself to stand still. The Valfine Empire teaches us that humans are weak, primitive, barely sentient. But you looked at me, a captain of the fleet that is conquering your colonies, and your first instinct was to offer kindness. I wouldn't call it kindness exactly, Marcus said. More like terminal stupidity mixed with poor timing. That earned another laugh. Lissa stopped in front of him, close enough that he could see the intricate patterns in her skin, like circuits of light beneath the surface. Perhaps. But in my culture, once a courtship declaration has been made, it cannot be ignored. It must be answered. Marcus's heart began to pound. Answered how? Either rejected, which brings shame to both parties, or accepted, which creates a bond that must be explored. Her eyes met his, and he saw something there he hadn't expected from a Valfine captain. Uncertainty, loneliness. I cannot reject you in front of my crew. They witnessed your declaration, and my response. To reject you now would be to admit that a human could shame me. So what does that mean? It means you are now my prisoner, but not for the Empire. For me. She straightened, her military bearing returning. You will remain aboard my ship. You will be under my personal protection. And we will determine whether this accidental courtship holds any merit. Marcus tried to process this. So I'm being taken prisoner because I accidentally proposed to you? Essentially, yes. And if I refuse? Her expression hardened slightly. Then you return to being an enemy of the Empire, subject to all standard protocols. Those protocols include immediate termination for ships found in restricted space. It wasn't much of a choice, but Marcus found himself oddly calm. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the way she looked at him, as if he were the first truly surprising thing she'd encountered in years. Can I ask you something? You may. Why did you blush? If this is such a serious cultural thing, why did you react like that? The purple returned to her cheeks. Because no one has ever complimented my eyes before. In Valfine society, I am considered plain. My coloring is common, my features unremarkable. I joined the military because I knew I would never receive courtship offers. And then you, a human who should fear me, looked at me and saw beauty. She turned away. It surprised me. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. Here was a captain of an empire that was destroying human colonies. And yet she was just as lonely and insecure as anyone he'd ever met. The armor, the weapons, the ruthless reputation, all of it was just protection against a world that had told her she wasn't enough. For what it's worth, he said quietly, I meant what I said. Your eyes really are remarkable. She looked back at him, and for a moment, the war captain disappeared entirely. In her place stood someone vulnerable, hopeful, and utterly terrified. Then you accept this bond? You will come willingly? Marcus thought about his cargo hauler, his simple life running supplies, the loneliness of space. He thought about the war spreading across the outer rim, and how strange it was that a compliment could become a bridge between enemies. He thought about those amber eyes and the way they held entire worlds of emotion. I'll come willingly, he said. But fair warning, I have no idea how Valfine courtship works. The smile she gave him could have melted starship hulls. Then I will teach you. Come, my accidental suitor. Let me show you what you have bound yourself to. As she led him toward the airlock where her confused soldiers waited, Marcus couldn't help but smile. He'd gone from cargo hauler to prisoner to accidental suitor in less than an hour. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he knew this was probably the worst decision he'd ever made. But when Lissa glanced back at him, that purple flush still coloring her cheeks, he decided it might also be the best. The airlock opened, and Marcus stepped forward into whatever came next.